Okay, it's time for a deep dive. And today we're getting into something I know a lot of people have been really waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
The main trio for the new Harry Potter TV series. They've been cast.
Finally. That's the big one, isn't it? I mean, after what sounds like a truly enormous search, we actually know who's playing Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yeah, exactly. So we've gathered the sources on this, everything from, who these young actors are, what that casting process was like,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of where it all fits with the series production overall.
Right. And our goal here is really to unpack all that with you. We'll get into the specifics about the new leads, try and get a sense of the sheer effort that went into finding them,
Yeah.
and put it in context with everything else we know about this, well, pretty ambitious TV show.
And looking through the details, there are some really interesting points. Like the number of auditions alone is staggering.
Yeah.
And one of the kids actually has some pretty significant prior experience, which is maybe a bit surprising. Plus, the mix of known actors coming in for the adult roles.
Definitely. So whether you're a huge fan, really curious about how this new version is going to shape up, or maybe you're just interested in how these massive, global casting searches even work, this deep dive should have something for you.
All right. Okay, then let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So the news broke May 27th. The sources are clear. Our new Harry Potter is Dominic McLaughlin.
Okay.
Alistair Stout is Ron Weasley, and Arabella Stanton is Hermione Granger.
There they are. And the process to find them, wow. The sources mentioned they looked at over 32,000 auditions.
32,000. That's just huge. It came from that open call last fall, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they were pretty specific about who could apply. They needed kids aged, 9 to 11?
9 to 11, and they had to be from the UK or Ireland.
Right. And the way they first auditioned, it sounds quite clever, actually. They needed 2 videos.
Yeah.
One was like a performance piece, a short story, or a poem.
Okay. And the other was just them talking about themselves, talking about someone they felt close to, family, friend, even a pet.
Oh, I like that second one. It feels like they were trying to get a peek at their actual personality, beyond just acting ability.
Exactly. Trying to find that spark, maybe. And the sources have this quote from the showrunner, Francesca Gardiner, and the director, Mark Mylod.
Ah, yeah, I saw that. They called it an extraordinary search.
And said they were delighted and that the talent of these 3 unique actors is wonderful to behold, really highlights the weight of getting this right.
It really does. Especially when you think this series could run for, 10 years? They need kids who can carry that.
Absolutely.
So let's dig into the actors a bit. Arabella Stanton, our Hermione. She's 11, British. And the sources point out she's not exactly a newcomer.
No, not at all. Which is interesting. She's got some serious stage experience.
Yeah.
Most notably, playing Matilda Wormwood.
The lead role. Matilda the musical. Yeah, in London's West End. She did that run from 2023 into 2024. And before that, another role. Narrator control in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Starlight Express.
Wow, okay. Playing Matilda on the West End. That's a massive role for someone so young. There's even a quote from her about it in the material.
Oh, yeah.
She said she started auditioning just after she turned 9, felt so lucky and honored for her West End debut, called it Dreams Really Can Come True.
Oh, that's sweet.
And she even mentioned performing at Buckingham Palace for a BBC event.
See, that kind of background, leading a big musical, it suggests, a certain kind of discipline, maybe stamina. That's pretty unusual. It could be really valuable for a long TV shoot.
It definitely sets her apart from, say, the original film cast when they started.
Yeah.
Now, Dominic McLaughlin, who's Harry, he's Scottish.
Right.
And the sources say he actually has a couple of other things coming up before Potter. A Sky comedy called Grow.
Oh, yeah, with Nick Frost, who's also in the Potter series, interestingly enough, and Golda Roshubble.
And also a BBC action series called Gifted.
So he's got some screen work under his belt, or at least lined up.
And Alistair Stout, playing Ron. The sources describe him more as a relative newcomer.
Yeah, which kind of fits the mold a bit more, doesn't it? Like you mentioned with the original film trio.
Exactly. Radcliffe, Watson, Grint. They were pretty unknown back then. It feels like they're maybe trying to replicate that approach, finding fresh faces people don't have strong preconceptions about.
It makes sense. For characters this iconic, maybe you want actors the audience can just accept as Harry, Ron, and Hermione without thinking about their other roles.
Right. And this casting is, just the latest step for the series itself. We first heard about it from Warner Bros. Discovery for Max back in April 2023.
And the plan is huge. A decade-long development,
And years.
aiming for a faithful adaptation of all 7 books.
Oh.
And J.K. Rowling is on board as an executive producer.
That faithful adaptation part and the 10-year timeline, that really seems to be the core reason for doing this as a TV series instead of more films, right?
I think so. The sources explicitly mention it gives them more breathing space.
Breathing space, yeah.
Meaning they're not stuck with that 2-hour movie limit. They can explore book plots, maybe characters, maybe little details the films just didn't have time for.
Which fans will probably love. And production seems to be gearing up. Filming starting this summer.
That's the plan. Over at Warner Bros. Studios Leavesden in the UK. And we might see the first season sometime in 2026 on Max.
So casting the main kids now feels like a really crucial step to hit that schedule.
Definitely. And we already knew some of the adult cast, which is shaping up to be quite impressive.
Yeah, let's run through those again. The sources confirm John Lithgow as Dumbledore.
Which is great casting.
Janet McTeer as McGonagall.
Also fantastic.
Papa Essidou as Snape.
Very interesting choice there. Talented actor.
Nick Frost, who we just mentioned as Hagrid.
Yeah, that one got a lot of positive buzz online straight away. Feels right somehow.
Luke Thalen as Quirrell and Paul Whitehouse as Argus Filch.
It's a solid lineup of experienced talent to surround the kids. You've got real heavy hitters like Lithgow and McTeer mixed with, strong character actors.
It really shows they're building a strong foundation. And the sources say more casting news should be coming soon.
Makes sense. Still a lot of roles to fill in that world. Hogwarts staff, other students.
Absolutely. Now, with a whole new cast taking over, the question always comes up about the original film actors.
Yeah.
Any chance of them appearing?
The sources seem pretty definite on that. Nope. None of the original main cast are expected back for this series. It's a completely fresh start.
Yeah, that figures for a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see something specific in the sources about Matthew Lewis, who played Neville.
Oh, right. Yeah. He talked about it, I think it was at MegaCon back in February.
That's the one. He basically said, he's obviously too old to play Neville again.
Which, yeah, makes sense.
But he did float an idea.
Yeah.
Said he might be interested in playing a different role.
Oh, dude.
Remus Lupin. He said he'd want to honor David Thewlis's performance, calling him incomparable.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, he apparently said if I was to have a go, that would be one that I'd do.
That's a nice little nod, isn't it? Shows that connection the original cast still feels, even if they're not involved this time around.
Okay, so we've really dug into the sources on this big casting news. Let's sort of recap the main points from this deep dive. We've got our new Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Dominic McLaughlin, Alistair Stout, and Arabella Stanton.
Mm-hmm. Picked from that absolutely huge pool, over 32,000 hopefuls.
And we learned that Arabella Stanton, our Hermione, brings some pretty significant West End stage experience with her, playing Matilda.
Right. While the boys are maybe closer to being newcomers, though Dominic McLaughlin has other projects lined up. And they're joining that already impressive adult cast: Lithgow, McTeer, Essidou, Frost.
And it all fits into this bigger picture of faithful adaptation planned over 10 years. The whole point being that breathing space to really dig into the books in a way the films couldn't due to time.
Exactly. With filming starting this summer, aiming for perhaps a 2026 premiere.
So, thinking about all this, what does it actually mean for you watching this develop? Well, it seemed to suggest a real strategy. Find fresh young talent, maybe unburdened by past roles, but surround them with very experienced, established actors.
Yeah, aiming for potentially a much richer, more detailed telling of the story than we've seen on screen before. It could be a very different viewing experience.
It really could. So here's a final thought to maybe chew on. We know this series is aiming to be faithful and has a whole decade to play with, way more room than the movies had. So what specific moments or maybe minor characters or even whole subplots from the books are you personally hoping this extra breathing space will finally let them explore in detail?